Thursday, October 12th, after you finish viewing the lesson slides, one last chance to remind you to turn in your rover. Our outcomes, depending on where you're at, if you're still wrapping up 11 and 12, the rover and the argument, Am I Alive, your outcomes are going to revolve around living things still. But it's time to stop and talk about coding, computer science, and giving TED Talks. So I've added what coding is, understand coding basics, how to persuade, inspire, or inform others. Because you're going to decide on a computer science or coding plan if you haven't already. And then we need to come to a decision on a topic you could talk about in a TED-style talk for at least 3 minutes. More to come on that. So here's our lesson plan. Finish number 12 if you haven't yet. If you haven't, don't panic. You're not behind. I want to give you plenty of time to give a quality response with that. Then your time to TED Talk, brainstorm, and develop your computer science coding plan. So with number 12, if you are still struggling with this, or if you would like to check the quality of your work, here's maybe an idea you might use. Write down the characteristics of life in a list or in a table, and then write down what living things are made of. So add that to the list. And then next to each of those items, write down how you demonstrate each of those items. Then take each one of those combinations and write it into a sentence or two. Then combine those sentences into a paragraph. Add your transitions. Set up with an opening and closing statement, and you're going to have a quality response. For your TED plan, so planning down the left side of the first box, what are some topics that I am really interested in? Start with something that you really enjoy. Then in that list, what topics on your list might interest other people? Is there a topic on your list that most people don't already know a lot about? Okay, how could you change their mind? Is there a topic that you see differently than most people? Maybe it's something that you're really interested in, other people aren't as excited about, but you think by explaining it in a different way or bringing attention to certain parts of it, you could excite them, inform them, persuade them. Moving to the middle box, what do I want other people to know about my topic? Once I have that topic, what is it about the topic that is so interesting? And how do I want other people to feel about the topic? It's more than just information. Humans get motivated when they have feelings about things. That's what the TED plan is all about, is exciting people. So moving to the third box, how will I tell them in an exciting, interesting, or emotional way? How do people talk and communicate that excites or changes the way people feel? Then images. What images would help me do that? And when you've seen in these TED Talks, behind the speaker, there are images. There aren't screens full of words. There's images, because being visual creatures, images are very impactful. We'll also talk a little bit about what images we can use and how to give credit for images, but start with the idea of how images would help. And then we're going to create a folder in your science or classroom folder in your drive so you can save those images there as you collect them. Let's talk about copyright real quick. The question is, where do we get images that we can reuse, that we have permission to reuse, or how do we get permission? How do you give credit to an image? Some images we can use, but we also have to give credit to that image, to the owner. And then how do you share your own work with your own images, and how do you let people know whether they're reusable or not? So we're going to talk about Creative Commons. Now with our CS and coding plan, what interests you most after looking at the two options? So addition to your TED Talk idea, you're either going to increase your computer science or your coding knowledge. So look over those, the Google CS First curriculum or the coding options through code.org, and see which one interests you most. And then when you choose one or the other, what options can you do at your age? Some of those things are just outside your realm. If you have to register for something where you have to be 13 or more, if you're not 13, you just don't get to take that path. Once you get that down, what would you like to accomplish in 6 hours? Since you're going to get some time to do this, what would you like to learn? What would be your goal? And then how will you show me your progress? Does whatever you're going to use allow you to save your progress? You're going to take screenshots? Is it something you can build and then come back to? Is it something you can export? Is it something you're going to do on a device? Think through the process so I can see what you've accomplished in the end. And that is our day.